YouTube, what's going on? It's Matt. Well, it's really Kelvin. That's the channel, but I'm back. Another live stream, and I decided to switch up the location today, just because of this stream. You know what I'm saying? And today I am live streaming live from Highland Park. If you know anything about the Dallas area, Highland Park is uh, a wealthy neighborhood in the heart of Dallas. Um, if you look to my left, you can see SMU Stadium. If you can look to my right, you see people's houses. Um, Hello, brother. Hey, what's up? Shout out to the kids. But yeah, so I'm gonna just talk about myself a little bit of the day, just to before we touch into what we gonna touch into. So today, normal day. If you don't know, I do work a normal 9 to 5. Um, wasn't always that way, but I work a normal 9 to 5. I work in the IT and tech industry. I work for a tech company here in the Dallas Fort Worth area. Um, I do that 9 to 5, and then after that, uh, shout out to Cynthia. She said you about to get pulled over. I'm not about to get pulled over. This is any outie, Cynthia. You know what I'm saying? This is any outie, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take this walk, cause I still do my walk, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take this walk through Highland Park, and we gonna be out. But it's a good day. Did my job, and uh train. You know, I don't know if anybody on here follows me on IG, you know what I'm saying? I trained with my boy She. Today was a leg day, you know what I'm saying? Heavy leg day, and it was great. Um, so today, what I want to talk about is leaving your hometown. And I really wanted to call this vlog or this live stream Leave the Ghetto, but I didn't want to be too hard on the ghetto because a lot of us came up in the ghetto, and it is what it is. But it's leave your hometown. And I can only really speak for myself, but leaving my hometown opened up so many opportunities, and really is one of the main things that has caused me to think differently. Um, when I think about a lot of the things I would see in my hometown, I would never meet a certain type of person in my hometown. I ain't gonna say never, because I would hope that successful people and good role models are from my hometown, Baltimore. I would hope that there are those people and there are those people there, but um, it's not as many as I would just use myself as when I have moved to Dallas. I have met so many successful people, have been able to been influenced by so many people that wouldn't have just been an option in Baltimore. Uh, I would say growing up, what would be my normal surroundings? Obviously, YNs. YNs everywhere. As the young folks would say, YNs and YBs everywhere. You know, uh, obviously, if you're a fan of the show The Wire, or if you have any familiarity with the show The Wire, you got your fair share of criminals in Baltimore. Granted, you got criminals in every city. Dallas, Houston, New York, you got criminals in every city. You can't even really tell what a criminal look like. Probably criminals in this nice ass neighborhood. But you got criminals. What else do you have? You got junkies in Baltimore. So obviously, if you watch The Wire, it was heavily influenced by the drug trade in Baltimore. So if you got drug dealers and criminals, you got to have the fiends to go along with them. So, imagine, uh, really no matter what neighborhood you lived in Baltimore, imagine walking out of your house and the main thing you see, or a primary thing you see, are liquor stores, people who are addicted to drugs, um, you know, and then also besides those, you have um, people who want to make it or people who want to do better, but for whatever reason, they can't do better. And that's not a knock to nobody. That's just me saying, there are people who are there that are just literally just trapped in their situation. Whether that be, you know, they had a baby real young and then they gotta, sit down and take care of the kids where they're at, or um, if you're one of those criminals and you got locked up and uh, you can't really move once you get out. You got to really rebuild your life at that point. Um, but if someone is watching this and you are single, you are childless, and you live in a place where you're gonna have difficulty accomplishing your goals, please leave your hometown. Um, and even me, like leaving my hometown is literally the catalyst for everything all the experiences I've had, a large majority of them, a large majority of the successful opportunities that I've had in my life were simply because I left my hometown. I remember back in the days, or let me tell the story of how I ended up in Texas. So I ended up in Texas because there was a rapper from Baltimore, and even on a smaller level, you got to touch grass. You know what I'm saying? You got to get outside. You can't just stay on your corner where you're at. But um, in Baltimore, I was a music artist, and I started going outside so much. I started to have my camera with me everywhere, that I started to just make connections with people, and I started to just be known for the work I did, whether that was music or um, videography. So, granted, I haven't seen my guy in a long time, but shout out to Sereno, because one day Sereno called me and he was like, "Yo, I got the hugest opportunity for you." And Sereno says, "There's a rapper from Baltimore. You know his name. His name Los. And if you don't know who Los is, Los was no Diddy. Los was for a very long time, and he is Puff's ghostwriter. Um, he's Puff's ghostwriter for, like, I mean, I don't know how much they actually verbally credit him, and I'm sorry for the darkness. They don't have a lot of street lights, but I don't know how much they credit Los in the credits as far as like name wise, but his handprints, his fingerprints are all over like Puff Daddy's music. However else you may feel about Puff, that's another conversation for another live. Back to the story. So Cerno hooks me up. He says, "Yo, I can't go on this tour with Los, so you should go on this tour with Los. I know you want to rap, but you're really good at videography. You need to do this." So, I have one of those things where I'm thinking to myself, because I'm still trying to make music, I'm still trying to do all this type of stuff in Baltimore, and I'm asking people what they think, and people are like, if you leave, you're probably gonna try to get out and not come back. And if you leave, you're going to be more of a videographer than you are a rapper. And there's a lot to think about. And so my gut feeling told me to just go ahead and do it. If it's one thing I know, that you won't always be able to have opportunities. So I ended up taking this opportunity to go on tour with Los. And mind you, I didn't get paid for this tour. And I was a person who had no job. I had no job, and really I had no money. When I was on the tour, my phone was like about to get turned off. Like, luckily, my phone didn't get turned off while I was out on the tour. But it was like, they give you the notices to, like, your phone's gonna be turned off. So we go on tour. We go to Atlanta. We go to Dallas. We go to Chicago. Feel like I'm missing some cities in here. We go to Chicago. We go to Indianapolis. We go to Minneapolis. We go to Providence, Rhode Island. We go to Boston. We go to Baltimore. We go to North Carolina. We go to, and then we end in Miami. Bang. So we go to all these cities, and at that point, I had met a lot of people in my city, but I had never met that many, like, celebrities, that many, people who were successful in the industry to that point. Like, I want to say, like, the first night we were sitting at dinner with Jazzy Faye. I remember that we was at dinner with Jazzy Faye, and Jazzy Faye was just taking us to the strip club, and we was going everywhere. Jazzy Faye, Young Dro. We went to it was a club called Tootsie's, and but it was almost like every city had that. And obviously we went to Dallas, which is where I'm at now. And obviously I met, some of, people who have been mainstays in my life. Obviously Radio, shout out to him, always shout out to him. Obviously, if y'all know Jay Oliver, um, the whole Never Satisfied gang. It's a lot of other people we met here too. I remember meeting in Chicago, meeting Chance the Rapper. I remember being in Chicago, meeting Jeremiah. It was so many people. Going to another city we went to, I forgot to say, was Philly. We had went to Philly. Got to meet Freeway, um, and the Young Guns. So it's but that one trip kind of put me in the direction of, like, I have to get back out of Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? So took that trip. Obviously, I made it back home to Baltimore at the end of the tour. And I think might have been home from the time of September to January. And then obviously I got another opportunity. It's just like, hey, just come back to Texas. Like, and so we did. I did. And it hasn't been, I haven't looked back since. And obviously, I mentioned in another live stream that while I still love the music, and one day you may see me rap again, I don't know. But I'm not necessarily pressed about it, because for the most part, I met all of the rappers that came out during, really, between the time of 2010 to 2020-ish. I've met all of those rappers, and for the most part, except for like Nas and Jay-Z, I met all my favorite rappers. I met them all. But I say this to say, a lot of the experiences that have given me the skills that I needed to move on in my life, I wouldn't have got unless I got up out of my hometown. And then a lot of times, especially where I'm from, I don't know where, if someone else is watching this and they're from a different city, Like I said, like where I'm from, people are people wear so much struggle on them. Like, and I've never been able to understand why. Obviously, it's hard to live in the blue cities, but people wear so much struggle. And I'm so sorry for the darkness. I know that's probably not you can barely see me. I would have done this earlier, but your boy had to work. But people wear so much of their struggle uh, just on their physical. You know, I look at even in Baltimore, like out here, if you live in some of these cities, like there's good food like everywhere. Like there's so many places that I could go. And granted, I don't say this to say that there's not places in Baltimore that you can go, but the ratio is skewed in a city like Baltimore versus a city like Dallas. Like there's a ton of Whole Foods markets out here. In Baltimore, there may be one. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, granted, people drink here, but it's liquor stores on every corner, kind of like in Baltimore. You have that type of dynamic. So when you look at everything you're around, like the things that are literally within hand's reach, a lot of that will like literally determine you and your family's outcome. And it's no way to, it's no way to, it's no way to even deny that. Like, now I ain't gonna say it's been perfect living here because it hasn't. But another thing is, I would say living here made me a more of a man. It made me have to take more responsibility over the things that I did with myself. Whether that be having my own car, having my own apartment. You know, I can't, and God rest her soul, I can't go back to mama's house if I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I could fly back home to Baltimore, but if I'm here, I can't literally just, when I'm hungry, I can't just be like, oh, mom, can you just make me some food? I can't necessarily take that attitude towards situations, or mom, can I just stay at the house? You know, I can't take that attitude. So it kind of puts you in more of a position to where as though, like, if you don't work, you don't eat. And like I said, not to say that, because I get it. Economy's hard. People gotta, take a couple steps back in certain situations. And I've had to do that a lot of times in my life, where I take a couple steps back to take a couple steps forward, take a couple steps back, take a couple more steps forward. But when you're in a new place, sometimes you're gonna find out, whether you have what it takes to make it or not. Point blank. And shout out to whoever's watching. I know it's dark. I know it's dark, and you literally just see a shadow and a voice. So I think this will probably be like a half an hour type of stream. So I'm gonna walk us all the way up to I'm gonna walk us all the way up to Highland Park Plaza. I think that's what you call it, and we're gonna like walk through there. But sometimes you got to change your surroundings, even just to keep things new, keep things fresh. And I would say even if, and I would shoot if you were from where I'm at now and you've been here your whole life, go out, go do something, go venture off. Man, oh man. The crazy part is, I would stay, even if I was homeless, I would still stay here. And I would figure something out, point blank. I would absolutely rather be homeless in Dallas than in Baltimore. Like, that's a bar. Like, and like I said before, every city has its every city has its areas of wealth, and it has its areas of, obviously, the ghetto and all that type of stuff. That's every city. But some cities more than others. And then on top of that, like, not even not even about where you're going, but where you're coming from. And this is more of an honesty thing here. I remember, park here for a second. I remember being 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and I spent a lot of time doing nothing with my friends in that time period. I spent a lot of time doing nothing with my friends. I spent a lot of time doing nothing with girls in Baltimore. I spent a lot of time doing nothing, just because, and it sucks to say this, but a lot of times where you come from, you're going to have a lot of your true friends, which is, I guess, is a beautiful thing. But in that same regard, you know, if your true friends aren't being productive and you want to be productive, you're going to have to get from around them. You know, I have a friend, and maybe she'll watch this. Maybe she'll watch this because I'm about to talk about her. I'm not going to say her name, but if she was watching, she knows who she is. She was here in Dallas with me, and she decided to move to Africa or to live abroad. And a lot of times people, do stuff like that, but and you thinking like, why would you want to have to spend all this money going to all these places and doing all this thing? But if you can afford it, man, you should absolutely go out and make your way, just because people tend to get comfortable where they're at. Or people tend to be comfortable where they're from. And if you're a person who has trouble creating a sense of urgency in your life, leaving your hometown or leaving wherever you're comfortable at sometimes is like the thing that'll put a battery in your back. And in her case, she's done started a new business. She done lost the weight. You know, a lot of it's because she wanted to change her surroundings. She wanted to be better. And then another thing with me, I brought this up earlier. Like, I I don't want to live in squalor. That's another thing that irritates me so bad about people in Baltimore. They like people are just so content with living in squalor, living in dirty places, living in uh crack not I'm living some people are living in crack houses in Baltimore, but living in dilapidated homes, living in, you know, houses where everything doesn't work, living in houses where there's no water, no lights. Like, people in 2025, where I'm from in Baltimore. People live in houses like this, and it ain't gonna be me. I know that sounds horrible to the if you're somebody who's just like has sympathy for the people who are in tough situations, which I mean I get it, but at this point I'm like, man, whatever I gotta do, it ain't finna be me. I'm finna be living well, eating good, able to take care of myself, you know, good school districts. Here's another thing that that really gets me and makes me like want to change, has always made me want to leave my hometown. It's just, and granted, what I'm about to say could be true for Dallas as well, but from my perspective, it's not, just because of how I came here. So where I'm from, good is bad and bad is good. I'm gonna say that again, and you may have heard it, but I'm just gonna say it again. Where I'm from, good is bad and bad is good. Meaning, in the ghetto or in the hood, anything good that you try to do may be considered bad by someone else. So, going to school, getting good grades, not thugging, like wearing your pants on your waist, not smoking, doing dope, not gambling away all your money, being present for your family. Like, to some people in Baltimore, that's bad, especially to the younger generations. I ain't gonna say the old folks think that way, because they don't, but a lot of times that young period is literally what shapes your old period. Obviously, people change, but man, the decisions you make when you're young have so much effect on what your life looks like when you're old. So if you're young and you're going through these stages of thinking that bad is good and good is bad, you're literally gonna ruin your life. You're literally gonna throw your shit away or make decisions that you have to pay for the rest of your life. And obviously, like I said, I come here and it's totally fine for me to be a nerd in front of the country club. It's totally fine for me to be a nerd and the camera guy and the guy who likes to read. And like I said, some people gonna make fun of you for it, but the ratio is way better here. I bring up another thing: the passport bros. Granted, I'm not gonna do it because I personally don't trust other countries like that. That's just me. I'm thinking I'm finna, get scopolamine or whatever they call it, where they drug you. I'm feeling like I'm gonna be that person if I'm over there. Cause I know, especially you take me to South America, how I love Hispanic women. But again, the guys who are having trouble with women in America and you need to go to another country, I don't see nothing wrong with that. Like I said, not something I would do. But if you want better results, sometimes you do have to change your surroundings. If you live in a place where all of the women like tall men, you might just have to go to a place where the people are shorter. Like, I mean, go to in Thailand. Or Philippines. They all short. They ain't tall. They are short over there. But yeah, your surroundings, man. Change your surroundings. Oh, we outside the country club, man. And I ain't saying I gotta be in a member of the country club because I don't, but you need to go to places where you know that it's possible. You need to go to places where you know that you can accomplish things. If you're in a place where nobody is accomplishing anything and you want to accomplish things, you need to leave. Sayonara. Arrivederci. And if it's your family that's stopping you too, you might need to leave. Love them. What's that mean? You need to leave. Or that funny video where the dude, the Mexican guy, say something in the crowd, and then the old white lady be like, "You need to leave." Well, that's you. You need to leave, and you ain't even gotta leave forever, but you need to leave to at least get a different perspective. I'm so sorry that it's so dark. You need to leave to at least get a better perspective and leave to understand that everybody is not living how you're living in your hometown. So I didn't call this live stream "Get Out of the Ghetto," but it's really "Get Out of the Ghetto." Get out of the damn ghetto. Get out of the freaking ghetto. Man, I wish it was light outside because I would have walked more through the neighborhood here. But a lot of times I walk through affluent neighborhoods just to understand, like, hey, like, granted, I might be a long way away from it, but actually, you never know. I might not be that far away from it because even for what we doing on YouTube, I keep showing up. The gym, I keep showing up. So what happens when I start applying that to everything I'm doing? Just keep showing up. But I always do this to just, let myself know, like, yo, it's right there. It's possible. Don't think that you can't learn some new shit. Change your image of yourself. Like, get rid of your limitations. Like, I got a lot of people, and I've met a lot of people who just have this can't mindset, and it irritates me. Um, I have a coworker, and wonderful guy, you know, wonderful guy, nice guy. But I gave him a ride today. And granted, I don't know everything this man has been through in his life to really make a judgment. But what I will say is, in my conversations with him, most of the time he's talking about things that he can't do. And I'm like, the way my mind thinks is that I can do whatever I want, even if I'm literally failing at the moment. Can't be financially stable, can't lose weight, can't do this, can't keep my wife, can't nothing. I'm like, why is this why is this the way to live? It's not the way to live. And now we in the shopping district. It's not the way to live, girl. Sometimes you just need to see the shit to know that it's daggone possible. You need to see it to believe it. And I'm guilty of that. Or not guilty, but get Cartier. Couldn't see it there, but like, yo, like sometimes you need to see it to believe it. And sometimes seeing it means you gotta leave everything you love. And not even forever, just for might be just for a year, might be just for a couple months. But get out the house, bro. Touch, as they keep saying, touch grass. We just gonna walk around here, and that's probably gonna be the end of the stream once we just kind of walk through here. But, bruh, like I done seen it. These people are really living their best lives, and you can act like you don't want to do that or you don't need that. But if you had a choice, why wouldn't you live it in the best way that you could? A younger version of me had a problem with people showing their wealth. A younger me had a problem with people having on necklaces or people having nice cars, and I'm talking about like a late teenage to early 20s me. I ain't gonna say I had a problem, but you know I didn't necessarily think it was a possibility in my mind, so I'm not necessarily I'm gonna act like I don't ever want to see that, or I can't get to it. But reality is I can get to it. And for whatever reason, for one reason or another, up until this point, and we working to change that. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully you trying to change it too. But up until this point, I've kept myself from achieving whatever I needed to achieve. Look at here's another crazy thing. Look at immigrants, bro. Look at immigrants. Look at immigrants. Think about people who literally are not from this country. I'm in the United States. Think about people who are not from this country, who move here, and literally within one generation, they own homes, they own businesses, and literally where they're from is bombs dropping, people getting their arms chopped off, like, and they change their surroundings. I mean, I know so many foreigners like that. Started a trucking company, started a restaurant. Now look at them. So change your surroundings, dog. So we still walking around. I forget if this is called Highland Park Square or if it's something else, but you know, you got to. I'm gonna walk up to it. And granted, I'm not saying I need to shop at these places or anything like that, but saying people able to live a certain way, it gets me motivated. Seeing people being able to live in peace and prosper and have the things that they want, it gets me motivated. You got the Hermes store here. I don't know what Harry Winston is, so I'm not gonna show that shit. I ain't trying to scare none of these people neither. They see me with the camera. Some people get a little startled. What's this? Tory Burch. I don't even know what half this shit is. But you got Fendi. Yo, that dude in the car probably is calling the police on me. You know I don't be tripping. Montclair. But yeah, change your surroundings, bro. Get out the ghetto. I know it's fun. And I know you feel that's where you feel the most comfortable at, but bro, trust me, you could go way further. Huh. All right, y'all. Thanks for walking with me. As you can see, your boy slimming down. The face getting slammed. I'm gonna be back with another live stream, hopefully this weekend. And that's what it is.